that's it though. It's like you can spend your whole life on the broad road, you know, and people are partying every day and walking down this. You know, the Bible teaches that it actually leads to destruction, and the one that leads to life is the one that few find. You know, and the reason is because no one wants to. The reason why it's a narrow gate is because you need to be conformed to enter through it. You know, it's you that changes as you enter through it. You know, it's not the gate that changes as you walk through it. The main teaching about that Jesus uses there, he says, "I am the way, I am the truth, I am the life." And so the gate is Jesus himself. You know, that's what he's teaching his disciples. He's saying, I'm the way, I'm the only way to God. You know, no one comes to the Father except through me. So it is a good illustration that he uses. I actually try to use that a lot when I'm presenting the gospel to people. It's a good way for people to understand. Oh yeah, the testimony?
Yeah, the testimony.
Second to last song, which one was that? Every day, maybe.
Nah, that was the Never Would Have Made It.
Oh, so he came, Never Would Have Made It, yes.
Yeah, I kind of just got the last final verse, man. And that was... We came from the Gold Coast that day.
Oh, right.
Yeah, we came back from there that very same day, man, and it was just like, man, I need to... Something's pushing me, like I need to burn out.
Yeah. Oh man, it was good. I was surprised to see you, man. You see me light up when I see him. Like,
yeah.
What is this guy doing?
Yeah.
I'm working on I just recorded a new song. I got to finish it off, and gonna do some.
With Dimes?
Yeah, with Dimes. So just finished a new song and gonna get some visuals done, but I'm just gonna do the visuals on a handheld camera and like an old camera with the time and the date in the corner, and just do like a vlogging thing for my youth group.
Yeah.
We're running a youth group there and try to get them involved. I don't like doing nothing. You know, but still, that's something that you still got to learn to do, is resting, you know.
You feel like that's a challenge for you?
That's a challenge for me, is doing nothing. I can't sit around and just rest.
I feel like you gotta find a different type of system to rest.
Yeah, well that's the thing. There's something that I heard. If you work all day with your hands, then you rest with your mind. If you spend all day thinking, say if you're someone who studies, then you rest with your hands. You know what I mean? Like, so if you're studying all day, then gardening might be something for you to rest with. You know, or if you're someone who labours all day, then maybe reading a book is something for you.
I like that. I never heard that before. Hey, how was your trip to Israel?
Oh, crazy, man. I never thought like some little Tongan kid who did Israel, but the flight was like 12 hours. Went to Dubai first.
Yep.
And then from Dubai went to Jordan. And like just being able to see, like, you read about these things, like you read the stories in the Bible and the names, and so you can't. But now when you read, you can put pictures to the stories.
Yep.
You know, we're walking through the desert. You know, went to Petra. I don't know if you heard of Petra.
Yeah.
It's like an ancient civilization. They used to live in the mountains, carved into the rocks, and rode camels. I got to ride camels there. And, I really got to get immersed in the culture, and then we went to Israel for 9 days.
Yep.
Started in Jerusalem and ended up in Galilee in the northern part. You know, you got to see where Jesus walked, see where things happen. One of the main things is going there as a believer. You know, it's like it's almost like Disney World for Christians.
Yeah.
You know, because it's, and the locals know that, and so they've made an industry out of it. It's almost like industrialized. You know, cafes are named after places, and just getting the tourism aspect of it. One of the main things I saw is that people are obsessed with places. You know, they line up for hours to see where Jesus may have died or where Jesus may have walked. People kissing the floor, and you miss the point. You know, God's not someone who's confined to things and places. You know, things but God is holy.
Yeah.
And it's wherever He is, where His holiness resides. And so now, God's Spirit actually lives in the people that believe in Him and trust in Him. So those are the people that are holy. His presence is manifested through His people. And it's not things, it's not people. And so we don't want to obsess with the place, but miss the person. So that's something that you immediately notice going there. It's great to be there. You get the experience and get to put visuals to places, but it's understanding that you're just as close to Him as you are here and there. He's not any more God than He is. He's not any more God over there than He is here.
It's great you're able to define that. Because I've seen videos and that like on TikTok and Instagram. And, like it's a beautiful experience. And then there's something about that presence is still there, but then there's places there.
And you can relate more. And anything that allows you to relate more to God or to who Jesus is a great thing. But we don't worship things. It's the person himself. Oh, you got to see I don't know if you know much about the war with Israel and Palestine. So for 80 years now, Israel's occupied. I think it's about 80 years. Israel's occupied the land again. But before that, it was under Palestinian control, and so when they came and took over, they've just sort of been at war ever since. And so we got to go over to Palestine on the border, and you get to see what's going on, and you relate to these people. I even got to go to church with them. We went to church in Bethlehem, where Jesus was born. There are believers there. You forget that there are believers on the other side, and I think as Westerners we often tend to just side with Israel. But going there and meeting the people, worshiping with them, and then you realise, these are my brothers and sisters, and they're on the other side. We've got believers that are on the Israeli side and believers that are on the Palestinian side, and so how do you balance that? What side do you take? Who do you support? Who's right? It's an interesting thing to navigate. That's also, man, we got to go to Galilee, sail along the Sea of Galilee. It's the Sea of Miracles. It's the sea that's around. It's where Jesus' main ministry took place. So all the miracles He performs are around this big mass of water. And so He sails from one side, heals a man, sails to the other side, casts a demon out of another man, and makes the blind see. And so the word spreads pretty quickly. And he goes, and sometimes he's walking he's on a boat and he goes to another village. People run to meet him there. So when you go there and you see the context of the place and the landscape, like you can imagine, these people are hearing of a man who's setting people free. He's stealing people, and it was always. The place in Galilee was a poverty-stricken place. It was poor. The Romans were taking over. They were putting taxes on the people. There's an illness crisis, and so here comes Jesus with all these teachings, and He's healing people, and He's telling people that the kingdom of God, and so word gets around pretty quick. And then you get the stories of how 4,000 people are around Him and He feeds them. And 5,000 people around Him and He feeds them. But just going there and seeing the place, and you get a real sense of, wow, this is a real place where real events took place. And you can understand why, and understanding the context of why, why the Bible says He did this, and it's just amazing, man. I woke up every morning and went by the water and just spent some time reading and praying, and it was great. I actually like Galilee more than I did Jerusalem.
Wow. Found a better connection there?
Yeah, I mean it's I don't know, like I said, it just gives you a better understanding of what the text means. Yeah, man. I think that was the triumph of the trip, was going there and understanding the person of Christ, you know, and seeing, wow, this is why he did this. This is why it says he went here. You know. Right. Food was mad. Ate heaps of.
Yeah.
I was going to the gym actually at the hotel every day because there's too much food, bro. One of the main things that I realised when I came back is there's a passage in Ephesians that says that, you know, when I was there and you're seeing all these things, like you see the Temple Mount, you see the Mount of Olives, you see all these places, you get to look at the Western Wall, and I remember being there and you think, remember I said, I'm like, what business do I have here? Like, I'm some Tongan kid, you know, some kid from the Pacific, and like, what right do I have to be here and have all, like, you know, like look at this and be like, wow, this is great, and be so attached to this. There's a passage in Ephesians that says, you who were once you who were once strangers to the covenant of promise. So all the promises that you read in the Bible, they're for a specific people. And me and you, we're not Jewish, you know, we're not from Israel. We were strangers to that. But the Bible says that we've been brought close because of the blood of Christ, because of his sacrifice, that now we're a part of this. And so me being there, I'm not from there. I'm a complete stranger to all this history and stuff, but in a sense, it is my history. Like, it is mine because Jesus died for me, and now I'm part of God's family. You know, so when I go there and I'm looking at these things, I'm like, man, all of this was always part of his plan to save me. You know? So I actually didn't realise that until I came back here, and I'm like, you know, you just want people to understand that. You want people to see the love that God has, and he's been planning this ever since the start. There's no accidents, but I'm a strong believer that there are no accidents, and everything works for the good of those who love God.
That's a big paradigm shift.
Yeah, man. It is, you know, like it doesn't. What it does, it just enriches my faith. You know, it helps me to, you know, I could stay here. I didn't have to go there to know God. I didn't have to travel to Israel. It doesn't bring me any closer to it, you know, but it complements my faith, you know.
This new record that you created with Bones, was this something that you created before or after the trip?
No, it was actually after. But it was actually after my trip to Malaysia. I came back and went back to Malaysia. Did I tell you didn't know that? No, I came back and went back again to Malaysia for a missions conference.
Oh, wow.
And well, I learned pretty quick while I was there that you know, we like to put God in a box. You know, and well, this is the way he is, and this is what he can do, and this is what he does. But you know, I talked about surrendering my life to God, and that's something that you not only do once when you accept Jesus as a Saviour, but it's something that we've got to do every day. You know, Jesus says, if you want to follow me, you've got to pick up your cross. And that's something you've got to do every day. And let's just say that God really broke me down while I was in Malaysia. I just shattered my whole understanding. I remember praying and saying, Lord, forget everything that I think that I know about you. You know, I want to forget what people say about who you are. I want you to show me who you are. You know, I don't want to try and assume like I know what I'm doing or who you are. I want you to really mold me and shape my understanding and you know, of who you are. And so I came back here and I heard a loop on Insta, and I just sat there and wrote a whole song to it, and it just talks about surrender, bro. And that's something that we as in modern society don't like to hear. No one likes submission. You know, we want to be the rulers of our life. You know, we want to be the ultimate authority of truth in our life. You know, there's a real God out there that loves us, that loves me, and yes, he loves me, but he's also God. You know, and any God that's not worth submitting to isn't a God. You know, so I surrender, bro, and that's what I am. That's just what I sort of based the song on.
you ever feel like you're doing the right thing, but then, you're tempted? Sometimes
Plenty,
it feels like
plenty of times, bro. Plenty of times it's always and people don't break into empty houses, and it's it's very true when God's got something in store for you, that's you're a threat, and the Bible says that your adversary is at the door. He's like a lion waiting to devour you. So we do have to be very careful. For me, that's why it's important to always be on point, always be renewing your mind, always denying yourself and really relying and leaning into God, because unless we do, it's easy to fall into temptation. It's easy to fall into sin. A lot of things that I had to deal with is pride, especially in this music thing, bro. There's a lot of room for pride. You're either doing it for God or you're doing it for yourself. And that's the danger of being someone who wants to make music for God, because it has to be wholeheartedly for God. Otherwise, there's selfishness in there, there's pride. I want people to see me. Look how good I am. Look how good I can sing. But there's nothing that I have that wasn't given to me. And so that's something that I always have to keep in check is pride, ego. I'm constantly asking the Lord for humility.
Speak about your journey of maintaining and the consistency, trying to maintain this faith.
There's a passage God talks about that I'm the vine and you are the branches. Unless you abide in me, you can produce no fruit. So if you think about it, like Jesus is the vine. He's the source of nutrients and life. And I'm a branch of that. I've been grafted into God's family. I'm now a branch of that. And unless I stay connected to the vine, you can't expect to produce anything good in your life. There's no fruitfulness in your life. I've experienced that over the last 2.5 years. Is the time that you're disconnected from the Lord, is the times that you feel, most void, most temptation. There's nothing fruitful happening in the ministry. You're not praying, you're not reading, you're not allowing God to renew you each day in your mind and your thought process. A lot of times I'm just lazy. It's a laziness. That's why I don't like not doing anything, because it becomes comfortable. So I often find that I thrive most under pressure. When I'm loaded with heaps of things to do. It's stressful, but you grow. And the best thing is that it teaches me to lean into God. And it stretches my faith. So.
What do you feel like people need to hear?
I would say it's the gospel, bro. 100% it's the gospel. I don't want to. When I speak to people, it's never like. I don't have any good advice of my own. It's not. When people ask me questions, I never say here's some good tips from Senny, or here's some good tips from TYJ. But it's always like there is no wisdom apart from God's wisdom. And the wisdom and the righteousness of God has been revealed in His Son and what Jesus did on the cross. That there is a God. Our sin separates us from Him. We're all on that broad path that's leading to destruction. And instead of us trying to reach heaven, which we can't, which every worldview says if you do enough, you get there. If you do enough, the gospel says no. Actually, God comes down and He meets us, and He suffers beside us, and pays the price. He bears all of the sin and the shame, and he dies with it. And then he's raised to life. And I think that's what people need to hear. You know, that you're not here by accident. You have a purpose. You know, there is a God. You know, we're accountable to it. We're separated from Him, and we live in a fallen world. You know, but He's given us away. He's given us His Son, and you can live in the abundance of life. You know, so much hatred in the world. People blinded by greed, anger, lust. You know, that's caused a lot of pain and suffering in this world. But you know, it's not always going to be this way. This world is passing away. You know, death is not a natural thing. It was never intended. God never intended people to die. It's not a natural thing, but because of our sin, that's where this world is heading. And so Jesus is the answer. Jesus is the salvation. He's the lifeboat. We're drowning in the ocean, and He's the lifeboat that comes out. And people look at Him every day when you talk about Him. They're like, we don't want your boat. We'd rather stay here. And that's where the world's heading. And so that's what the gospel is trying to get people to understand that God is love. You know, He's giving us away. But you know, I can say this as many times as I want. I can speak it to people, but unless people are willing to submit, you know, and surrender, you know, which again is something that's hard to talk about these days, because no one likes submission. No one wants to surrender, especially to God. People need to hear the gospel, and I think the best way to do it is to live it out in your life, you know, through loving people and articulating it, because words are important, but also actions are more important. You know?
Hey, so I'm counting on the rain like Noah. Spoken from the ages, Lord, you never change, but you see me through my phases, glow up. Searching for the purpose, so judge yourself. Yes, and if it came the day, I'm jumping at the trumpet. And if I lose my way, I'll keep you as a compass. Don't wanna be gang, I don't wanna be a G. I just wanna see Jesus, King of all kings, King of all nations, King of all things. Used to think that all that mattered was the B.O.G. Can't go another day without my G.O.D. Never lack a single praise, I'll never be low key. Cause I got a God on speed dial, amen, read dial. Lord, please keep me from my old ways, see now. Hope like Moses' path that you've chosen to keep me through the water, split the Red Sea. Lord, I give you my devotion. They rock the boat, we walk on oceans. I don't wanna go to I don't wanna go to I can hear the waters roaring. They rock the boat, we walk on oceans. I don't wanna